Hi, I'm back with my review of Treasure Island. Finally, I actually finished it last week, but I was home for the weekend and I had lots to do, so I didn't really have the time to finish it, and I kept getting afraid I would be interrupted, so I made a few shorter. Well, I tried to make a few shorter videos as a review, but it didn't work out. But yeah, it didn't take me long to finish the book. It's a light, fun read, and I can personally see why it's considered a classic. It has so many memorable characters. Of course, Long John Silver, Jim Hawkins, who is the narrator for most of the book, the Squire Trelawney. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. Pew, who appears only at the beginning. Billy Bones at the beginning. Captain Smollett, of course, who I actually preferred in Muppet Treasure Island. And yes, I am going to make many references to that film in comparison to this book. But yeah, again, I can see why it's such a classic. It's a typical swashbuckling adventure and a great story with a lot of the more romantic conceptions of pirates. Some which were accurate, some which weren't. But overall, a lot of the motivations were romantic and economic at the same time. So it was realistic in that sense, I guess. And you can, I guess, understand how there would actually be certain pirates who would act as Long John Silver did. So, should I start with the narrator himself? He was actually maybe one of the least fascinating of the main characters, even if he was this. Well, he was not so much of a typical young boy as you'd expect. He was a little dry, I found. His narration was more matter of fact and was just simply telling the story, not with a lot of his own emotions and feelings, which were glossed over really quick. And it seemed like for his age, don't even remember how old he was supposed to be, but he wasn't even a teenager. And yeah, the way he talked and recounted the story, you would have thought he'd be maybe in his 20s. So he was a little maybe too mature for his age, and yeah, again, was a little dry. Except his relationship with Long John Silver is probably the most fascinating aspect of the whole book. And again, Muppet Treasure Island, I know the boy who played Tim Hawkins and Jim Carrey were incredible, and I found a lot of that same respect in the book. Both men, even if Long John's committing a horrible mutiny against Captain Smollett, he still has a lot of respect for Jim and calls him smart as paint. I'm still trying to, figure out exactly what that means, but basically he recognizes, maybe that's the point, that he recognizes Jim is far wiser beyond his years, and that's interesting to think about. Yeah, Captain Smollett, interesting captain. He's fairly smart, maybe again a bit dry and matter-of-factly, but yes, Muppet Treasure Island again. I did love Kermit as Captain Smollett, but I guess he couldn't have been as true to this adaptation, because even a few times in the book, Jim says he's not a fan of the captain, as he's a bit dry, boring, and kind of an ass in some respects, but he is really smart, and he shows that, especially in the part where Jim tells him of Long John's plan, and he goes through all the options. He says, this is what's best for us, this is what we need to do. I don't want to give too many spoilers again, but yeah, the smart captain, I can see why he's in charge of the Hispaniola, which I am, again, which was brought very much to life in Muppet Treasure Island, and in the book as well, it had its own personality too, which I really enjoyed, and especially in the battle scenes, which weren't that extended. You could see how might have been in many ways fairly close to a real life, and another thing to appreciate, my historical nature coming through. But yeah, Benjamin Gunn, who was played as Benjamina Gunn by Miss Piggy in Muppet Treasure Island, is an interesting character and a little loony, maybe, who was marooned for a few years by his previous crew. And he's an interesting character. I would have liked to see more from him, because he doesn't come into the story until a lot later. But another interesting character. And Yeah, the story itself is fairly typical, but I guess written way back when it was. That again captured the romantic notions of being a pirate and venturing the open seas. And yeah, it's many ways that's quite attractive, and you could see in many ways it would be fun to kind of embark on an adventure like that. But then there's danger, and Long John Silver and his crew, and they're mutinous Cretans in many respects. Even though you can give a little bit of respect to Long John as he's clever and you can give him his dues. Maybe I think I much preferred the ending of the book uh, compared to the movie. It's more realistic, I guess, even if a couple things left me scratching my head. But yeah, I'm trying not to give too many spoilers here. But yeah, this was my 2 cents about Treasure Island. I thought it was exciting, really well written, and yeah, I really enjoyed it and glad I read it. I'll talk to you guys later, hopefully about The Gathering Storm.